In this video, we're going to talk about dividing fractions, and it's going to actually include all types of division of fractions. So if you're looking for one in particular, just kind of scroll through the video. If you're looking for whole numbers and fractions, it's here, fractions, and then mixed numbers and fractions. I've broken it into sections with pictures and algorithm because there's a lot of people who know the answers with the algorithm because there's a quick step method, but very few people actually understand what is happening in the problems. So I'd like to show you how this works and how we can use both of these to help us solve division problems. So in this first problem, first of all, I look at these numbers and they don't make a lot of sense sometimes, so I like to give them a context. So I like to say, you know, if we're doing division, especially with fractions, feet of wood divided into shelves. So if I had 3 feet of wood, what would that look like if I was going to divide them into shelves that are this size? So I start with a picture and I start with 3 feet of wood, and I see that my shelf, it looks like this size. So it looks like I can get quite a few shelves that are this size right here, 1/3, from all of this wood. So in order for me to figure out how many shelves I can get, I need to take all of this wood and I need to chop it into sizes that are this size. So I'm going to cut everything into thirds. And now I ask myself, how many of these 1/3 pieces can I get out of all of these? Well, I can actually get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 shelves. If I had 3 feet of wood and each shelf needed this much, I could get 9 shelves from it. Now the algorithm for that would be 3 divided by 1/3, which you could actually, many kids see the connection between 3 and see 9. You're right. You can actually turn this into a multiplication problem by turning them both into fractions, and you can multiply by the opposite number, which is what you do. When you divide something into 3 chunks, you get 3 times the amount, which means I'm going to get an answer of 9/1, which is the same as 9. That is how we can work with division of whole numbers and fractions. For this problem, it talks about a fraction and a fraction, and I'm still going to use the wood and shelves analogy. So I look at this and I go, okay, I do have more wood than what the shelves require. So I'm going to go ahead and assume I can get at least a shelf out of there, but probably not much more. In order for me to understand exactly how many shelves or how much shelves I can get, I need to figure this out, and I would probably like to use common size pieces, common denominators, because these are thirds and these are fourths, and they don't exist or coexist very well with one another. So I'm going to actually cut this into 12ths. So I'm going to go with 4s this way. So, which means my new amount here, I didn't change it, I just changed the way it looks. My new amount is 8/12ths. And the wood, if I cut that into 12ths, my wood is actually 9/12ths. What's nice about that is I can actually see that what I want versus what I have enough to get what I need. So I'm going to come over here, and these are the size of the shelves, 8 pieces. I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to take 8 pieces like this, and that is going to be 1 shelf. So I know my answer is 1 shelf, but obviously I don't have enough to make another one. But if you look at what I'm targeting 8 pieces to make a shelf, and I only have 1 piece left, which means I can make 1/8 of another shelf. I'm looking for 8 pieces to make a shelf, but there's only 1 left, so I can get 1/8. So that is how you can use pictures to help you understand the division, what's happening in these division problems. The algorithm for that would look like this. 3/4 divided by 2/3 can be flipped into multiplication, where you're flipping your symbol, your division symbol, and you're flipping your second fraction. A lot of people know to do that, they just don't understand why, and that's why this picture can become so much more helpful. Then you can multiply straight across. 3 times 3 is 9, 4 times 2 is 8. That's over a whole, which means over 1 shelf. 8/8 is a whole, which means me with 1 and 1/8. I know the video is getting a little long, but I'd like to still go through one more example for you. And so this would be an example of how many shelves I can get that are under a foot if I had 1.5 feet of material. And so I start with 1.5, and I start with 5/6. The pictures right now don't make a lot of sense because there's they're not the same size pieces. So I'm just going to start by cutting everything into 6ths. And now I ask myself, okay, well, here's 5/6. How many 6 do I have here? Well, there's 6/6. That's a whole. 7, 8, 9. Here's 9/6, which means over a whole. So how many 5/6 can I get out of 9/6? Or how many 5s can I get out of 9? So here's my target. I'm going to go ahead and see how many I can get. That is one shelf. And as I try to get a second shelf, I realize that, okay, there's 1, 2, 3, 4. I would probably need to grab that piece if I was going to make a second shelf. But noticing I am one piece short, so I can only make a fraction of that second shelf. If I look at what I have 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces, and I was looking for 5, which means my answer is going to be 1 4/5. Now, if you're looking for the algorithm, that's fine. Here's how it looks. I'm going to turn this into 3 halves, which is technically what I started with 1 1/2, and I'm going to divide that by 5/6. But I can flip that into a multiplication problem as long as I know what I'm doing. And I'm going to get 18 tenths. That's fine. What would that look like? That's 1 8/10, which is this simplified down into 1 4/5. So those are some examples of how you can use the division algorithm, how you can use pictures to help you solve division problems. And a lot of it's just trying to make sense of the problem the best that you can. And so this has all 3 division problems in it, which is why the video is longer. I appreciate you taking the time to look at this and hopefully help make some more sense of your division problems.